Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome. So, today I want us to go on a journey together. So, I have been doing a lot of interviews and podcasts recently with individuals, and people keep asking me kind of the same thing. And so, if I keep getting the same question, then that implies to me that this is information that really needs to get out. So, what people are asking me is, how do you start the journey? Like, where do you start? You're sitting here, you're living life where you feel confused, you feel stuck, you're procrastinating, you're not moving forward, you're stressed out, you're full of anxiety. And then when you start to talk about, well, it's time to start healing, then people clam up like, oh no, there's no way I can go back and relive those situations in my life and da 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 da. And here's the thing, if you're fearful of going back to look at something that you've already survived because you think if you go back, you're going to fall apart, here's the thing, you're not. Those things are still controlling your life right now, which is why you're stressed out, you're overwhelmed, you're procrastinating, you're full of anxiety, you may have severe health issues or you're developing health issues. All of that stuff is impacted and is shown up right now. So I want to just I don't know how long this is going to take. We're just going to rock it out. I am just going to see. I got a whole notebook full of notes of things that we're going to try to go through. And so I can teach you how to just start the transformation journey. Because obviously, with me being a self healer and teaching people how to become self healers and how to coach themselves and others, I want us to start here. Okay. So, the number one thing that I want to talk about is, what is holding you back from creating your lasting change? So, like when you're faced with life threatening situations, people tend to resist, and despite knowing the repercussions. So, why is that? So, like when we're constantly doing bad habits, and if we're a person that is drinking, or a person that does drugs, or a person that stays on social media, or any other addiction, or we're choosing not to take care of ourselves, we're making a choice that is going to end up turning into a life-threatening situation. And every time we don't choose to take care of ourselves, we are actually creating a situation that we know that we're going to have repercussions further on down the line. Because if I'm not taking care of myself right now physically, then 10 years from now, where am I going to be? And I did that for years. So now that's why that is so important to me. So, the one thing that I want you to realize is that even bad habits are rewarding. I know when I ask people, like, how does this sickness benefit you? How does this addiction benefit you? How does doing what you're doing benefit you? And the first thing out of everybody's mouth is like, it doesn't benefit me. That's a lie, because we don't hold on to anything that does not benefit us. And I know people don't want to hear that, but the fact of the matter is true. If you are addicted to whatever, or if you are stressed out, you're holding on to that stress. You're not willing to do the things that will alleviate the stress or the anxiety. So, why do we do this? So, our brains are wired with an error alert system, and anything that it sees that is new, because we have trained our mind and our brain of how we operate. So anytime it sees something new, it sees that as a threat. And what happens when you have a threat? Right. Everything sounds off. So imagine that the alarm going off is your anxiety. That's your alarm saying, hey, over here, there's something wrong. Something ain't right. Or we feel fear. And what happens is, when we feel the anxiety and fear, we just stop. we don't move forward. So today I want to talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different things. Well, 8. I was trying to do 3. 8 different things that actually hold us back from pulling the trigger to make changes in our life. The number one is fear of rejection, judgment, and being different. This is ultimately our need for approval. So if you're fearful of making changes, the very first thing that is going to happen is your fear of rejection. Because what happens if I make these changes and the people I love and care about don't approve or they reject me? And so then you stay stuck in this pattern because you don't want to be alone. And you think that the only way to keep people in your life is to stay the same. And if that's what you're going to do, then you're going to continue to feel the same and you're going to continue to live the way that you're living. And if you're surrounded by people that don't believe in change, then guess where you are going to go? You are going to be going nowhere fast. Okay. It's just being honest and real. So if you're afraid to make changes because of rejection, judgment, and being different, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, people are going to judge you regardless. Whether you're staying the way you are or whether you change, people are going to judge you because that's just human nature. People judge, unfortunately. And it's like when you stop living your life because of your fear of what others are going to say and do, think about your life. How often are you sitting in your life thinking about other people? And the crazy thing is most people are fearful for people they don't even know judging them. And what sense does that make? Like, if you just really sit back, like you think about, especially parents, what is the first thing don't worry about what other people think. But the whole damn time you're worried about what people think. They're listening to you talking about how, or either you're judging someone else or they're hearing how you're being judged, but then we tell them not to worry about judgment. So the only way to eliminate judgment is just to stop it and not care about it. All right. Being different. You're afraid to be different. We're all different. Every last one of us. Even twins are different. So what exactly does that mean, that you're afraid of being different? So ask yourself that. Like, what does being different look like to you? And why are you fearful of being different? Like, you're already different. You're unique. There is no one else like you in the whole entire world. Nobody. Okay. The second reason that we fear making changes is our fear of uncertainty and discomfort. We are hardwired to seek comfort and certainty and avoid failure. But when have you learned your best lessons? Was when you quote unquote considered failed, right? But what if we don't look at it as failure? What if we look at it as an experiment? The same thing with uncertainty. What Our whole life is uncertain. We wake up in the morning, we can have the best laid out plan, and we can walk out our door and something happened and that whole entire plan goes to shit. So my question is, why do you fear uncertainty when every day and every minute is uncertain? Okay. All right. The discomfort. Yes, when you start to make changes, it is discomfort, but you're already sitting in discomfort. So at least making changes is going to potentially give you a different result. But if you continue to stay in the same place, guess what that's going to do? It's going to keep you in discomfort. So either way, you're going to be uncomfortable. So you might as well be doing what makes you feel better, what makes you look better, what makes you happier. I'd much rather have that discomfort than to sit over here stressed out, full of anxiety and depressed. Feel me? All right. Number 3, stuck in habits and patterns. Our thoughts, turn into actions. Our thoughts also create our habits. So if you're stuck in habits or patterns, what does that mean? Yes, we are creatures of habit. We love routine. We love the consistency and knowing what to expect. But we also do that for things that are harming us as well. So if we're sitting there and we're looking for something different in life, but we're stuck in this habit or pattern, we're going to keep getting the same results, even if the routine is bad for us. I'll admit, I used to love coming home to an amazing bottle of wine. That was my favorite thing. I would love to come home, drink a glass of wine. But guess what? I would end up drinking the whole bottle. Wake up the next day feeling like crap. I would eat bad. I wouldn't want to work out because I felt bad. And the more I did that, the more I started realizing, like, wait a minute, this is a habit. This is a pattern. And I'm feeling the same thing, thinking I'm going to feel something different. It's like, no, let's just stop this. Let's end the pattern. Let's break the habit. And now that I've done that, I feel amazing. The next one is the feeling of being overwhelmed, the tendency to suffer from disorganization, lack of clarity, and catastrophic thinking. Being overwhelmed is crushing because it feels like no matter what you do, you're never getting out of the hole. And I want you to shift your mindset real quick. Instead of you constantly saying, like, we create overwhelm because one, we procrastinate a lot, or two, what we do is we keep saying, I had to do this, and this. Instead of saying I had to, why not say I choose to? That's how I look at life. When I have certain things that I have to do that I may not like doing, like I don't like grocery shopping. I don't. I really don't. I don't like doing laundry, but I choose to go grocery shopping because we need food in the house and we get to eat healthy. And I see the bonus reward of going to the grocery store or doing laundry. I don't like it, but I choose to do it because if I don't, then I have no clothes to wear. So instead of saying I have to go do laundry and it looks like it's something negative, then say I choose it, because us making that choice is buying us time in the future. Because if I do laundry today, then tomorrow I got a whole day to do other things that I choose to do. And I can always make that choice and I don't feel guilty and I don't feel all this overwhelm on me. Okay. And then goals, create very simple goals that you can accomplish on a daily basis so you're not sitting there with 500 things to do. The next one is confidence and self-efficacy. The lack in belief in your abilities or inability to trust yourself. That is huge, because here's the thing. So many people say, I got trust issues. Well, when somebody tells me that, then that means, well, you don't trust you. Because if you trusted you, then you would be able to trust others. But the reason you don't trust you is because you know how much you lie to yourself. You know how much you don't choose you when it's what's best in your highest good. It also shows up when you tell yourself you're going to do certain things and then you don't do it. So you can't trust you. So if you can't trust you, how are you going to trust someone else? You can't. So when people tell me they have trust issues, my first question is, well, what do you lie to yourself about? So I'm going to ask all of you that. If you don't trust yourself, then what do you lie to yourself about? And then not trusting your abilities. Why would you not trust your abilities? Why? What causes you not to trust your abilities? Are you comparing yourself to others? You know, like, well, they have more education. What difference does it make of what their education is? If you are skilled and you have the ability to do whatever, then you're strong in your abilities. So move forward in those. Don't lack trust within what you're able to accomplish. You've been doing it. So just nurture it, accept it, own it, step in that power, and be like, yes, I'm that badass. I have these abilities and I'm that badass and I'm going to make shit happen. The next one, fear of disappointment and failure. Your lack of faith, there's a lack of faith that it will work out, and fear of not meeting your own expectations or others not meeting our expectations. So you have this huge fear of disappointment. It's like, well, what if I come out here and I don't succeed? Okay. You know how many things that people deem as failures that I've endured? But then when I look back at those, I'm like, oh, well, let me learn a lesson from that. Let me take that knowledge and move forward. Because I always say every night when we go to bed, that version of us dies. And when we wake up the next morning, we're upgraded with all of the information that we learned from the day before. So if I get up and follow the same routine, then guess what my result's going to be? The same. And if it's not a good routine, then I'm going to continue that result, even though I know what the outcome is going to be. I knew that if I came home every day and had that one glass of wine, that I was going to drink the whole bottle. And if I drank the whole bottle, I was going to wake up the next day with a terrible headache, feeling like crap. And every day I came home or every other day or whatever it was, if I drank that bottle of wine, I knew what the outcome was going to be. And I still made a choice. Key thing, making a choice. I made the choice to do that. So I was doing that to myself. And so it's the same thing. Like when you're thinking about, like, who are you going to disappoint? You? How do you disappoint you? So it didn't work out. It was an experiment. You try something new, right? All right. The next one, fear of unintended consequences. Change begets change. When one area of our life is changed, it impacts other areas. Sometimes it requires other changes, and those changes may be scary or unpleasant. Sometimes changes impact other people, and it can be hard and emotionally straining to handle their reactions. And that is huge. So, when I started my weight loss journey, I realized real quick that I lacked consistency and discipline and self-motivation. I did. But what I learned was if my goal and my why was big enough, I wouldn't pull away from it. And my why was so strong that it forced me, I'm going to say it forced me because it did. It forced me to learn consistency. It forced me to learn discipline. It forced me to prepare. Like I was always that person that lived in chaos. Like I grew up in chaos. That's all I ever knew. So that's all I've ever done. I didn't want to be held down and be confined to structure. I wanted to be free willy and do whatever I want. Well, that didn't work out hardly none in my life. There are times when I need to be that, but for the most part, I needed structure and discipline and consistency. And once I learned those things, my whole life shifted. It's so organized. I'm managing my time better. I'm prepping. I know when to do certain things. Yes, that's a routine, but right now that routine is in a positive. The results that are coming from my routine are positive. If the results of your routine are not positive, then we need to shift those and change those. The last one, lack of clarity or motivation. The tendency for people not knowing what they want or why they want it. That is the biggest thing right there, is when one of the first things I asked everybody to do, and I'm going to tell y'all to do this, but when they enter my school, one of the first things that they do in orientation is I have them sit there and write, if money and time, if you didn't have to worry about either of those, and you had all the money and time in the world for 7 days, write down 7 things you would do. By the third day, people already don't know anything else. They're starting to repeat what they wrote, because what happens is we think we want all of this because we live in this life of lack, and that's never going to happen because our minds, we've been trained to live like that. And so then when you say, well, what do you want? People don't know. They want peace. Well, what does peace look like to you? I want happiness. What does happiness look like and feel like to you? Or when people talk about relationships, well, this, well, what does that look like? What does certain things look like to you? If you need to feel supported and loved, what does that look like? How does someone show you love? And if you don't know the answer to these things, well, then how do you know that you're not getting it? How do you know when it shows up if you don't even know what you're looking for? So that's why we lack clarity. That's why we lack motivation, is we don't know what we're trying to accomplish. Okay. So tomorrow I'm going to hit on each of our needs and why they're so important, but I'm also going to give you some little tips of how you can absorb the human needs that you need. All right. I love you. I'll see you, beautiful souls, tomorrow.